All right, guys, we're back here. Another episode of Bloodbath.TACTIcs. It is just me and Ben today, and we're going to be talking about the dominating faction of Warhammer 40k right now, and a faction that I've picked up, I guess, a couple years ago, but I've definitely, learned to enjoy it right now. It's kind of their time in the sun. Is the Sisters of Battle.
Sisters of Battle. Hi again, everybody. Just me and Cass. Just the A-team. Ready to rock it out. Give you a fresh new episode. Cass, those who listened to our podcast in early days, this was your secret army. This was your secret project, wasn't it, or something like that?
Yeah, I had it going in 9th. So I used to play them in 9th. Bloody Rose faction was the one I chose, and that was one of the top ones as well. You could have chose Argent Shroud, which I did lean towards because I love Paragon war suits. I thought they were some of the coolest models. Yeah. But my favorite models were the Repentia. And Bloody Rose really kind of, made them shine. Cool. It was let's see if I can remember in 9th. Yeah, I know it was only like a year and a half or 2 years ago, but basically they would have an extra attack, extra AP when they charged. And it was like strength 6, AP -3, 2 damage. And then you have another way of making an extra AP. So it was like -4 AP.
Sick.
On a charge.
Yeah.
So you were just like slicing through Marines, and I actually played them quite a bit in 9th. And then when 10th came, the index, they decreased a lot of their points.
Right.
It's like substantially decreased. Mm-hmm. That my 2,000 point army worked out to be like 1,300.
Jesus.
So I was like...
Compared to 9th edition.
Yeah, like 9th to 10th.
Okay, got it.
It's different now, right. But I also collected a little bit more, and I was kind of collecting them on the side as well of Death Guard. And I... and then the new Codex came out, and but before the Codex came out, I started playing them again.
Right.
Just having a little fun because I didn't have some of them. I needed some Arcos.
Sure.
Yeah. And I got those going.
Yes.
And then after, I've been playing Sisters now, I guess since May. Probably. I think we've played a few
really
times.
digging into them. Yeah.
Like just saying okay, I think it's time, and their Codex is coming out. I didn't know how good they were going to be.
Dominant they would be.
Oh my god.
Yeah, this will be our Sisters faction focus, with our resident Sisters expert, Mr. Cass.
I'm nowhere near an expert, but
but amongst our crew,
sure,
that's probably you.
Yeah. I mean, I've only played them in one competitive tournament. It's only because of lack of tournaments that have been around, and my time and my time has been a little bit kind of constrained.
Of course,
but I still went, 3-1. I got it was a teams tournament that we went to. Yeah. But, in our practice games and stuff, I do have very high positive record. So
yeah, Sisters are absolutely lighting up the meta right now. I can't remember if the analysis I just recently saw was from this past weekend or the one previous, but something crazy like out of the 10 GTs on record, or the 10 biggest GTs, whatever it was on Stat Check podcast. They were mentioning it.
Oh, nice.
That it was, I think they won 4 out of the 10 GTs that weekend. They're in a really, really good spot right now. We'll definitely dig into them. This will be our faction focus. It's a little bit of a different faction focus for us because we usually jump on it pretty quick after Codex releases, but we've been sitting with the Sisters Codex for
a couple months.
What's it been? Yeah, two maybe almost 3 months, something like that. So I think a really good, not post-mortem, but just having sat with the changes and even a balance change since then, right? Stuff like that. It's a good idea to dig into them and see where they're at. Yeah,
and I really like this this approach too, because we've had a little bit of time, let them marinate in a meta,
let it breathe a little bit,
where we can we've figured out what's good, what isn't. There's still some secrets that they have for sure. Yeah. I find every unit in that codex just to be absurdly good.
Yeah, for sure.
But, with the amount of practice I've had with them and stuff like that, I can really kind of share some of my secrets, share some of my thoughts. They may not be right. I might be out to lunch with them, but I've definitely really enjoyed playing them.
No, you're the pro. What you say is gospel. Okay. It's true, and I believe. I believe you.
Yeah. I know.
I don't know better.
You wouldn't be a good friend if you did, right?
That's what a friend is. Telling your friend they're always right forever, no matter what. That's what friendship means.
Never when they're wrong. Yeah.
Nope, never wrong.
No. Well, I think before we get into it, very, very exciting time. We actually have almost hit 500 subscribers.
Jesus, love it.
Isn't that crazy?
That's so.
We started
this
amazing. I want to say we started this in January, so like 8 months ago, but I think we took a 2-month hiatus.
Something like that. It's 6 to 8 months, somewhere in there.
Yeah, but really kind of going at it. I think we did about say we were going at it for 6 months, 7 months.
Yeah.
And thanks to everyone else, and actually wanting to listen to us blabbering idiots talk about
incredible
stupid things and Warhammer and thanks to all the guests have come on. But we wanted to celebrate with that, and we got our first sponsor, Fenris Workshop.
Fenris Workshop. Yeah, for those who don't know, it is a Montreal-based gaming store, online store.
Online store, yeah.
They've got obviously like GW retail, but also something that I really, really like is they have their own little like secondhand section. I don't know if they find armies and buy armies and they'll sell them secondhand. I'm always one for a good deal. I hate, as many people do, paying GW prices.
Yeah.
And Fenris is super good. They got not only do they have your secondhand options, but they also have discount on GW stuff, right? Like any good retailer, you get a little bit of a discount there. So.
Yeah, and they also do their own branding too. Like they have their own dice. They have dice trays, and I really like. This is something that attracted me always. I've always liked the Norse theme.
Yeah.
When it comes to anything.
Yeah.
And
we're big burly men. We like Vikings.
Yeah, we're above 6 feet. So you're 7. So you're 7 feet. Yeah.
Roughly 7 foot. Whatever.
Yeah. And I've always been drawn to that. I've always been drawn to that kind of brand. And I mean, they kind of kill it. And if you sign up to their accounts, you can level up. It feels like you're kind of a DD player, like a rogue, and you're leveling up in different achievements, they've been awesome to us. We are going to be doing a giveaway with them, celebrating the 500 subs.
Yeah.
All you have to do to win this is just be a subscriber. That's it.
Just be a subscriber, either new subscriber, old subscriber, doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. If you have subscribed to the channel, we're coming up on 500, I think you said.
Yeah, we're almost there.
Okay. Yeah. So this is going to be like you said thank you so much to Fenris Workshop for helping us out and sponsoring us. That's amazing. In my wildest dreams, I didn't think we would even get this far. So
we were just doing this for fun.
This is just a passion project for both of us. This is super fun. But any subscriber, new or old, subscribe. You immediately get entered into the contest. I think you were saying we're looking at like a mid to late October kind of.
Early October.
Early
October. I want to do this giveaway, so we're going to give it this month for you guys to give you a chance to get in here and get on in the channel, join their community.
What can they win, Cass?
It's goodie bag, so it's gonna be some dice tray, probably some merch. I'll actually have the full details in the probably the next video here. We're just working out. He's insanely busy right now. We were just talking today actually, and
to Fenris himself.
To Fenris
Daddy
himself,
Fenris.
Daddy Fenris. We were just talking, and he's just setting it all up, and we'll have more details. But we are going to be doing a giveaway here, so for your chance to win, you just got to be a subscriber
hit that button, subscribe. Obviously, hit that notification bell. We're all familiar with that, but make a second account and subscribe again for another chance to win. Yeah. Get your brother, get your sister, get your mom.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody.
And if they win, then you get
just steal their stuff.
Prize.
Yeah.
I know we just got a little bit of sponsorship on our Bloodbath team. From them, we got their dice and their dice tray.
Yeah.
Customizable colors. What color did you get?
Red.
Oh, I got red too.
Of course, black and red.
I saw the green ones and the blues. They looked all right, but very, very kind of high quality. Like it's that nice leather around it.
Quality,
and
really
they're small. They're portable. I really liked them.
The whoever wins the gift pack, you'll see the quality that Fenris puts out is always great, and obviously can't say enough about them. Thank you so much to you guys. That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you guys.
So make sure you get subscribed and win.
Yeah, let's do it.
Love it.
All right, well, I think let's get into it, man. Let's get into why we're all here and what the listeners want to hear.
That's it.
I'm sure you have some questions for your
for resident
the guy in the hot
expert.
seat. Yeah.
Yeah, what's it like being the pro this time?
Oh man, it's nerve-wracking. I don't know what I'm saying. No, we'll see. We'll see. I have a good time.
If Dave can muster through 2 episodes, I'm sure you can figure it out.
Yeah.
Sisters, I want to start. Let's just start at the beginning. Mm-hmm. Sisters in Index. I don't have the best memory in the world. I sometimes can't remember more than 2 months ago because I'm just big, slow, and dumb, like I always say. Mm-hmm. But where did you play them a lot in Index, and how do they feel before Codex launch? Because I don't remember hearing them. They certainly weren't lighting it up. I don't think they were like mid-tier, doing okay. They were never like bottom of the barrel, never top of the heap.
Well, they were always great. Okay. Now, especially in the Index, and there was a few point adjustments throughout. I guess when Leviathan launched, it was in June.
Yep.
In 2023.
That's right.
Yeah, June 2023 it launched.
Geez, we've had a year of 10th edition already.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
And they were always great. This is a kind of army that has a high skill cap, and
Right.
a lot of people love them. I think the lore, the models are gorgeous, the high detail.
Super cool. Yeah.
Just an overall good lore when it comes to the army, and a lot of people have them, but the skill disparity is quite large, and they're a very hard army to master. So when it came to tournaments, like a few ones would win, a few ones wouldn't.
Right.
But I found I guess after a few point adjustments and a few rule changes, say around March, I think we really started seeing the sisters kind of starting to win tournaments and being in the top tables. But again, it was with really, really skilled players.
That makes sense, right? Because like you said, it's super high skill cap, but also a very high skill floor, right? So like it's not really one of those armies you can just jump into, slap on the table, and get success with, right? Because correct me if I'm wrong, the vast majority of units are very fragile. They all hit pretty hard. They'll have good rules, but if you're not trading effectively, if you're just throwing units on objectives and just losing them over and over and over again, you're never going to see great success with it.
Right, like you just don't want to throw. An objective just for the sake of throwing an objective.
Right.
It's about waiting out your opponent, being patient, playing that long game. Like your game's going to be turns 3, 4, 5, not 1 and 2. And when you start showing your assets turn 1 and 2, well, any other good player or any other good opponent will just shoot out your hammers, and then you're just left with trash.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
And you don't want to be left with that. So it's very. Movement is the best characteristic and the most important characteristic in the game.
That's right.
So they have good movement, but you have to be able to use that right to then have the board control and then, fabricate a win.
Yeah, they do. That's a good point. They do have a lot of good movement shenanigans, right? They're either just fast, so they got jetpacks all over the place, like they can fly all over, and a lot, like, it's no surprise. A lot of games are won and lost in the movement phase, right? Like if you can move block effectively, if you can be in a place, you got uppy downy shenanigans, right? If you can be in a place you're not supposed to be or shouldn't be able to access normally, sisters have access to all the good rules. Like they got all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
They're like, I guess not every, but a lot of factions have like an inherent built-in weakness, right? For Death Guard, they're super slow, right? For sisters, they are relatively weak, right? They're not going to take a hit super hard. Like what takes a hit in the sisters codex? Arcos, kind of.
Yeah.
Paragons, kind of.
Archons are definitely your most tanky unit, I'd say.
Right, which is not even really that tanky.
They're still toughness 3. right? Like,
yeah, nothing's tanky.
It's
like,
it's
your vehicles are normal vehicles, like better than rhinos, but nothing crazy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you're exactly right. What you have to do to compensate for the fragility, generally, of the faction is trade effectively, be fast, score points. How do you find... So, like, aside from Index, now that we're in Codex land, are they... Because I've always found the sisters matchup, like, when I play against them, interesting. Because I, as a person who plays, like, Knights and Necrons, right? Knights and Necrons typically, depending on what kind of list you're playing, dominate primary, right? You plant big, tough bodies, big, tough units on objectives. And you say, come and get me, right? There's a little bit of play around with Lone Ops and Canoptech and the reactionary moves.
You force the game.
Or reanimates, whatever. You force the game. But sisters obviously have success. How do sisters play the primary game?
So generally the way, and okay, this was a hard change because I was such a Death Guard player, mid range, very. We're trading here, they're here, and I'm just gonna out attrition you.
Right.
So I have the patience already built in. But with sisters, is always difficult because they do die to a swift breeze. Now, that is mitigated with Miracle Dice. And for those who don't know how Miracle Dice work, you roll one at the beginning of your turn, one at the beginning of your opponent's turn. There's other ways to keep adding them. And they substitute a roll between advance, charge, saves, damage, and hits and wounds.
Right.
So you can use that one dice to substitute. So...
Yeah, you generate a pool of dice, and you can pull from that pool.
That's right. And when you pull from that's what brings up some of the variance where, like, okay, well, can these guys survive? Well, I'm just going to use my 4 to do a 4-up save.
That's right.
Right?
Or on a charge roll is huge. Like
the charge roll is great, yeah.
Guarantee yourself 4 on one die on the charge roll changes the math entirely.
Yeah, and we'll go back to the question you just asked, on Miracle Dice, my best advice I can give anyone on a Miracle Dice is they're not necessarily for your saves and your damage and your hits. Like, sure, you can use it. They're mostly, you should be using them for your advance rolls and your charge rolls.
Right.
Again, movement's the most important thing. And having that advance roll to get that 6 inches is just a massive advantage for you to have a board control. So when it comes to the primary, so now we're getting to the question. Really what you want to be doing is, turn 1, you want to go to your expansive objective. Okay?
Yep.
Go there, reinforce with some stuff. If they want to trade onto it, they're probably just going to lose everything they ever traded onto it because you're going to have a little bit of support with some castigators, emulators, Dominions coming out with meltas and shooting anything off, right?
Right.
So you want to have that expansive one, and then also set up angles that you can hit off that center objective. And then I've always found it very useful to use my angels or the flying seraphim and zephyrims, depending on what you're using, to sabotage their expansive. Or
that's like your harassment unit.
Yeah, exactly. They're not crazy by any means. They don't do a crap ton of damage. You do need the things with sisters. Everything's synergistic. So you do need. So castigators have a caked-in ability where if they shoot at something, you can then select after the shooting. You can then select that unit to have anything else shoots at it have an extra additional AP on it.
Right.
So the flamers on Seraphim are strength 4, AP 0, 1 damage.
Right.
But if I shot you with Castigator and they still survive, and then I now shoot out of a -1, ignore cover.
Right.
Ignore cover flamer on you.
Right, because the immolators.
No, the Castigator. The immolators. Sorry, yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, the Castigators give up extra AP, and the immolators, if you hit, give ignores cover.
That's right.
But you already have ignores cover on that flamer anyway.
Correct.
Okay, understood. Gotcha.
Yeah.
But for everything else, an immolator doesn't hurt.
Not at all. No, it's a way of sequence of attacks. But
yeah, right.
And generally, like there's some times that, and again, this is where sister players are going to get me, right? Because like it's hard to sequence it sometimes. Like, do you start with Castigators? Do you start with immolators? Right? It's a weird thing, but like when you start with emulators, they only have 100 killer missile, multi-meltas, and a heavy bolter, right?
Right, that's it.
So sometimes it's, if you know your Castigator is going to shoot at something and that thing would be in cover, then you would shoot your emulator first because your multi-meltas have -4 AP anyways.
Yeah, they don't care.
So I don't want -5. I don't care about it, right? We're already on your invul. So then you shoot with your emulator first, and then you'd shoot with the Castigator because most of their guns are all AP -1. So now it keeps that because it ignores cover.
Gotcha. Right. So there's lots of really good built-in combos. Like the units are playing off of each other, and so you're saying as far as like the primary game's concerned, you're going to throw something up on your natural expansion, right?
Yeah.
And then if your opponent, and this is just like probably generally good play for any faction, but obviously you have to be a little bit more mindful with sisters when they're fragile. Throw in something, an immolator, a couple sisters units, whatever, on your natural expansion, and if your opponent reacts and commits to it, you have 100 other tools that will synergize and blow them up.
Right, exactly. Right? And then
but are you ever, I mean, this is going to be very matchup and mission and everything dependent, but how often are you taking like the middle objective as sisters? Is that a thing you're ever, or are you just kind of keeping them off of it? Or are you claiming it for yourself? Does that ever happen? How does that work?
Yeah, it happens sometimes. I've learned to start avoiding it more often just because my guys are so fragile. They're not going to sit there and hold it.
Right.
It really depends on the unit. Now, if I'm playing a different detachment with Arcos or maybe Sacrosants.
Right. There's some play maybe, yeah.
Yeah, there's a play like if I go 10 Sacrosants with an Hospitaler or Hospitaler?
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 I don't know. I think it's based on the word
Anyways,
hospital.
so Hospitaler gives him a 5-up field of pain. Sacrosants have a -1 to wound because they're a bodyguard, that bodyguard rule.
Right.
And they have a 2-up, 4-up. So now you're a 2-up, 4-up, 5-up. With 10 of them and power armor, you can generally, and if you play it in the right faction, so an Army of Faith detachment, we can get all of it. They have a stratagem that gives -1 to hit.
Right.
So you can really kind of stack those abilities.
It's super dependent on what you got in your army, your list, their list, the mission, all that stuff.
Every detachment plays differently.
But like, typically, no, like sisters are not dropping a brick in the middle and saying, "Come beat me up."
Yeah.
Right. It's not that kind of faction.
No, they're there to trade resources and ultimately trade up, but then scoring points while trading. So some great units that have some great value is like the Dogmatas. They're only 30 points. They can sneak out, get an easy containment, sneak out, get an area denial, stop an area denial.
Right.
Like just weird shit like that that only costs 30 points. Oh, you killed it. And the thing is about sisters, when you kill something,
Yeah.
you get a miracle dice.
Right. So stuff dying is, while bad, you get a little refund. You
Yeah,
get a
well-
little miracle.
Well, something.
Little something, something.
Well, something.
So that's like a good broad kind of analysis of how sisters play. The question I was going to ask is, from index to codex, who do you think were unit-wise? Who do you think were big winners, big losers? Who got, or was it generally the same? It seems like some, like what was the one? What was the super? Is it Crusaders? Were like that super cheap little 2-man unit. I don't see them a lot anymore, but I feel like I saw them a ton in index.
Well, there's a reason you don't see them.
Okay, what's that reason?
They're legends.
They just got removed.
They're gone.
See, I didn't know that. I was like, they must have got like
Yeah.
points increased or something. They got just straight removed.
Yeah, that and Death
That
Cult
was the
Assassins. See you later.
ultimate nerf. It's just getting removed from
Just
competitive
bye.
play. That makes sense. I appreciate that.
They were sweet. They had a little 4-up invol.
Yeah, 2 little bodies with 4-up involves at like 25 points.
25 points.
That's insane. They shouldn't have probably like. Why did they legend it? That seems weird.
I don't know. They just don't want them to exist. I think they want to. This is just a theory, but I think GW just kind of wants to lean not so much in the MSU style, even though like they get more money out of it. But then there's 3D printing involved, and I think there's a lot of factors. But they want to kind of lean away from
MSU.
Well, here's this 25-point body, and here's this. And that, before the Codex came out, there was a data slate, and they actually went up to 30 points
That's right,
for for 2.
Yeah,
30 points for 2.
Yeah.
But for 4, because you can go 2 or 4.
That's right.
It was 50 points. So it's
Yeah.
back to the old 25, but you have to take 50.
Right. They did a similar thing with Scourge in Drukhari. Right.
Oh, okay.
Because taking 3 is great. Taking 6 or wait, Drukhari or sorry, Scourge are in units of 5. Anyway, whatever it was, the small unit was a certain number, but it wasn't double.
Is it Mandrakes?
No, it was Scourge, but I can't remember how many they're taking in a unit because they get like 3 Dark Lances. One's like a Sergeant, doesn't have Dark Lance. It's weird, but they did the same thing with Scourge, basically, where the small unit was a certain amount, and the double-sized big unit was not double the points because nobody is really taking it because the value is what you're looking for on the small unit, right?
Right.
Same thing with Crusaders, but they increased their points for the 2 and then just cut them.
Yeah,
They're
like,
like,
you're not going to run it as 50. We all know you're not. Like, try.
That's really interesting. I honestly didn't know that.
Yeah.
So that's not a good example of a loser in the Codex because it just doesn't exist.
It's a loser.
What is the ultimate loser in fairness?
Yeah.
Any other big losers or big winners that stand out to you from Index to Codex? Like,
a lot of the point hikes in the models I felt might have been a little too harsh. Like a Manglifier.
A who?
A Manglifier.
I have not even heard
Magifier. Anyways,
I haven't even heard that name before.
Yeah, when it's attached to a unit, it gives a 4-up invol to the whole unit.
Okay.
And it was at 35 points pre-coded. It's at 65 now. Pretty big hike for just a little character.
4-up invol, yeah.
4-up invol, but it's also like a 3-wound character, and
Right.
it also had an aura too if you rolled a miracle dice of someone dying. So say someone died within 12 inches of them.
Okay.
Then you could re-roll the dice if you didn't like it. Like it's like a mini triumph thing people would do. I ran it in post codex. I thought it was it's a fine model on some battle sisters. Like put it back there, shoot them up. Your AP doesn't really matter.
Yeah. Right.
Like unless it does, like then I go up to my 3-up prior armor save. But for the most part, it didn't really matter.
Yeah, if you've got
I found
cover,
that
no AP.
it was a good unit. It's still fine now.
Yeah.
I would run it.
I've never seen it.
It's just 65 points. It's just
Maybe
maybe a
not
little
worth it.
harsh.
Right, because so there's a similar. I can't remember. I think the cost is like there's a similar unit in Necrons. Obviously, just speaking on what I know.
Yeah, of course.
Oracan, the Diviner, does the same thing. He has like a once per game pop off cool thing, but his core, I guess, ability to his unit is he gives him a 4-up invuln.
Yeah, I love that. That's amazing.
Which is super good when you have like a 20 brick of warriors. But sisters don't really have 20 bricks. Like they're 10, and sometimes you're splitting that 10 up into other stuff. And
they
doing
used
other
to
things.
back in 9th.
Right. But not anymore, hey?
No.
Basically, there's no big bricks of, like, you can do Arcos in 20s or no?
You go Arcos in 10s.
Arcos in 10s. So even then, you're not even getting to the nice 20 number with a big...
No.
Yeah, because with a 4-up invuln like that, especially if you're paying 65, 85 points, whatever for it, you want to get some value out of it, and you got to have bodies to get value, right? Or it can make sense in Necrons because you got 20 warriors, and those warriors are coming back.
Yeah.
Right. So maybe a 4-up invuln for even cheaper in Sisters doesn't make much sense.
Yeah. You know what? If he went down or she went down a few points, I think it'd be a conversation.
Yeah.
But
As
it just it's fine. Like, and again, you could split the unit, put it on 5 bodies around her. Like, you can do things like that.
Right.
I don't know. I thought that one suffered a little bit. And again, the point hikes went up. Like Paragons went up.
Right.
Morven went up.
Which obviously Paragons didn't suffer that much. Morven did not.
I think they're better than they were.
I was going to say
they're better now than they were before, and maybe the detachments are things that really help it though.
Sure.
The rules behind it, but before in the index they could fall back, shoot, and charge like a Dread Knight. Okay. But in the Codex now they have the built-in rule of +1 to hit and wound against monsters and vehicles.
Right.
With the rerolls with Morven Vol, it just really makes this an ultimate force.
For sure.
Yeah. So I think it's. I mean, obviously they're better.
Yeah, losing fallback, shoot, and charge is a big nerf, but yeah, coupled with how they play, right, getting the rerolls is pretty huge because that's the targets they want to be hitting, right?
Yeah.
They've got Meltas, they've got they smash in combat.
Yeah.
Those are the things you want to be hitting. You want to be hitting the other Demon Primarchs or Big Knights, whatever. That's
it's your hammer units. It's trading
100%, right?
And the fallback, shoot, and charge was more relevant. So this is where it's hard to judge because it was so much more relevant in post Pariah Nexus because you could fall back and then do an action.
Oh, in Leviathan, right?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And then in Pariah Nexus you can't. So
that's right.
So that ability is kind of less good.
Right.
And then this one's much better now.
Yeah, that's a good point. All of the advance in action, all the fallback in action is not a thing anymore. So it's okay if you lose it, maybe.
Exactly.
So big loser is the whatever the thing you called. It's a 4-up invuln. I haven't even heard the name.
It's one of them. Yeah. Again, I don't think it's absolutely terrible. Dogmata is a little.
Another one you mentioned before that I hadn't even heard of either.
It can force. Honestly, I can't remember the rules. To be honest, I think it's like it force battle shocks.
Okay.
On things it forces battle shocks on other.
Yeah.
It's like 50 points now or something, or 45.
And it's another like character leader type unit, I imagine.
Yeah. It's one of their mini characters because they have like Minister Priests and they have they have a bunch of these little weirdos and you can just kind of add them to units and get your buffs and like there's Hospitaler. Hospitaler. That gives a 5 field no pain to units.
Right.
Then there is the Dialogus, which gives.
I've heard of that one.
Why use it? It's 30 points. I tend to use her solo. But if she's ever attached to a unit, she can do miracle dice, and any one counts as a 6.
Right. Oh, that's super good.
Yeah, it can be. Yeah.
Super good.
Yeah, there's definitely ways and different cool little combos you can do it. Like if you're attached to, say, a Retributor squad. Retributors are heavy weapon sisters.
Yep.
They have 4 Meltas and a 5-girl unit. Say it's attached to a Dialogus, and say you're an Army of Faith or near a Triumph, and you use 2 miracles. Well, boom. Like you just use. Oh, I'll use 2 1s. They're both 6s, and boom. See you later. Yeah, sure. Like you just do that.
Yeah,
right?
you get 2 hits all the way through, and time to roll for damage. You're like, a 6 and a 6.
Yeah, and boom.
That really is the power of having played Sisters a lot recently. In between tournaments and online play and everything, it's like everything right now at least is Sisters or cultists. There's cultists everywhere. Tony would be very proud. There's cultists everywhere and there's Sisters everywhere, and obviously miracle dice are extremely strong, right? Because it's not only is it like in that example of damage rolls, just do 6 damage, just do max damage, but also in the case where like durability is concerned, right? If you're shooting into a unit of Sisters and you just, as the Sisters player, you just need 1 more to survive, boom, there's your save.
Yeah.
Right? Don't roll it.
That's it.
Don't even roll it. Or worst case scenario, right? You roll the dice, you CP reroll. Okay, now I'm going to sub it in, right?
Sure.
The power to do that is crazy good. Like dice manipulation is obviously a very strong mechanic.
Well, it's the one variable we all can't control.
That's right.
So how do we control
just
it?
The luck. Just
miracle.
Just faith in the Emperor is how you
That's true.
how you manipulate the dice.
Yeah.
Cool.
So some winners.
Yeah.
Again, Paragon Warsuits. I think they're just
you think
ultimately
that's
better.
On the whole, was a big glow up.
Yeah, they went up in points, but they still are phenomenal. I know there's a few Sisters players out there that don't. I'm pro Morven. All right, I'm pro Morven and her Volagons.
So
okay,
she's so good.
I think about 80 to 90% of Sister players are. There's a select few, and they still win without her. Like you can still win. Like she's not auto take. If you don't take it, you're gonna lose.
No, of course not.
But I just don't see why not. I think that you're shoring up maybe some of your mistakes too. So if you're making any errors in a match, you can kind of make up for it by just like, hey, Morven Vol just kills everything.
Yeah,
right.
Very well, very effectively kills whatever you throw it. Just kills it.
So that was a big winner, and then the real big winner out of the entire codex. It did see a massive increase in points. I think if it went from 130 to 190.
Okay.
Triumph St. Catherine. Okay.
Right, which is generates a 6 every round and has, or is that, that's the Triumph, right?
Yeah.
I always get the names mixed up because they're all like the Saint of so and so and the Triumph of this girl and
Triumph of St. Catherine.
Yeah.
They have a different, I guess, tribute to different, to the different saints that came along.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
right.
like the Aben Chalice and then the Arden Shroud.
Okay.
But then that's the 6 girls that are around it.
Gotcha.
Now, with this one, it is 5 ores. You get to choose 2 of them. It's similar. It was 6 before in the index. Now it's 5, but you get to choose double faith or double miracle or blessings of faith, active faith. Sorry, for double miracle.
Yeah.
There is one with the leadership. I never really use it.
Yeah.
And again, sorry, players, I just don't know. There's one that gives extra or lethal hits in combat, and then there is the re-rolling wound rolls of 1 in ranged.
Yeah.
And then the last one,
the movement one.
The movement
That's
one.
Right. And having
sorry,
played
I actually missed one. 6 of Feel No Pain.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's 6 of Feel No Pain.
Yeah.
I generally choose between 3. I have done the I don't know if it's lethal or extra AP in combat.
Some kind of combat
I think it
buff.
used to. No, I'm getting confused because the index it was lethal hits in combat.
Oh, okay.
This one's extra AP in combat.
Gotcha.
I could probably pull it up. There's a lot to her. She's very, very hard to use, but good to use. How do you be aggressive with her? Do you charge center? She's a support piece that you can kind of throw at people, and if they they have to use a lot of resources to kill her, and if they kill her, they kill the support piece. It's not the end of the world. Like you're still doing your thing.
And the unit itself is considered infantry, so you can kind of hide it where you want it and pop it out, move it without being encumbered by ruins and stuff.
But it's still 6 inches tall, so if you're doing
right, so it's not
depends
a small model.
Yeah, it depends on the terrain. So
it's got like a 4-up invuln and it, like 13, 14 wounds or something like that. Like more wounds than that. 16. Yeah, less. 15. More.
18.
So
18 wounds.
So wounds. So it's
so think of it like this: like there's 6 characters on it, and they all have 3 wounds. Think of it like that.
Oh, okay, sure,
right?
That makes sense.
Yeah, that's why it's 18.
That makes it feel worse.
It's 16 attacks or whatever, but
yeah,
in combat.
I just remember,
and they're strong. They're strength 5, AP 2, 1 damage, hitting on 2s.
Right.
That's a really good attack.
It's a pretty good attack.
That's a really good attack.
I've never been blown away by the Triumphs charging me. I've been blown away by like the amount of effort it takes to kill it.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're putting a whole bunch of... You have to commit into it. Like you said, you're committing into a support piece. Mind you, that support piece is very good.
Mm-hmm.
If you're playing against a Sisters player and they let you kill that in the early game, you should take that chance, obviously. But they're tough. They're tough as nails.
Yeah, and you're probably going to utilize a resource that's going to put you in an off position where you're not happy about it, right? And then I am.
Yeah.
As the player. But chances of me like allowing that to happen is very unlikely, but it does happen where like, okay, well if you're gonna really do this, you're gonna really commit, go behind enemy lines and just really shoot it, then you're just way off.
And what does it have a fair amount of OC on it then?
6.
Right.
Yeah.
So what OC? So it's the kind of thing that you have sitting in your mid to backboard, giving the buff the whole game, and then turn 4 or 5, you need to throw some OC out there, or you need to make a last ditch charge or something like that. Mm-hmm. Yeet it out there and go for it.
Well, and let's really get to so she does give you a free 6 on the battle round.
Right, which is also very, very good.
Awesome.
That's so good.
Now, her main aura that I choose 98% of the time is the movement, and it's +2 to your movement, +1 to advance, +1 to charge. So essentially 3 inches to your movement.
Yeah.
And when you're playing a certain faction that has everything, it gives assault weapons, you're essentially giving, again, 3 inches to all your movement, and you're kind of anywhere on the board. You use that 6 miracle dice. You know, that's
so fast.
You know, angels move 12 inches.
Right.
Right now they move 14 near her. Okay, and then you use a 6, which actually technically is a 7 for advanced because you have her as well. Okay, so now you have 21-inch movement of your angels, and they fly through anything because they're infantry flyers.
Yep.
So they just go whoop on 21 inches, and then if they're seraphim, they shoot and scoot. They shoot something, they move another 6 inches. So you kind of have this weird board control where, like, okay, well, you're gonna hide from me. They can really make some unique angles that way, and
sure.
she helps that a lot.
Yeah, and I think that's probably a good transition into the detachments, because you kind of touched on one right there as far as like the detachment, which is Bringers of Flame.
Bringers of Flame, the top daddy.
That's definitely the one that's dominating certainly competitive play right now. It's if I know the detachment rule, it's everything has an assault and something else. What else is there?
They get a +1 strength within 12.
That's what it is.
That's
gotcha.
it.
Yeah, but a good suite of stratagems as well.
They're, if you look at them on paper, they're not crazy.
Okay.
They're not like, whoa, this changes the game. Like there's no +1 to wound strat. Well, there is, but it's not what you. Anyway, there's restrictions to it.
You got some hoops to jump through.
Yeah. The strats aren't like absurd. I would say the best strat's probably AOC or Armor of Contempt, which gives you
a good strat,
gives you the extra stops the AP coming in, so it gives you a little bit more durability.
So if the detachment's not relying on strats necessarily, why do you think it's been so dominant as far as, because there's 4 detachments, and that's definitely the one that's like lighting it up.
Yeah.
Why do you think that's the one that's doing it?
Well, I think Sisters want to naturally be a shooty army and be a very patient army and kind of sit back and let opponents do what they need to do. But part of their strength is their speed and finding angles where they need to. And this allows them to do that. So having that assault, and really the key to that whole detachment rule is that +1 strength. It hits exactly where you need it to be, because now Meltas are not strength 9, they're strength 10.
Yeah, it's huge. That's a break point.
That's the break point right there.
Huge, yeah.
The flamers on the hand flamers, they're all 12-inch range. So if they're in range, they get the buff.
Right.
And those hand flamers go from strength 4 to 5. Right.
Yeah, another great break point.
Another great break point.
Yeah,
right. Where you're hitting most infantry with that stat. There's a few armies that can kind of get around it, like Custodes.
Sure.
But in the sake of Custodes, and talk to all my friends that I play Custodes with, I still haven't lost them.
Right.
The reason is you just you have to ignore them, because they're just like they're at their breaking point for you. Like their toughness is just, that toughness 6 is a little bit too much for you.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah, you just dance around them, kind of thing. Play your patient game, right? Yeah.
Play the patient game, dance around them. The board is yours to take.
Right.
Their movement isn't that great, and they can sit on an objective, and that's fine. But then you can just kind of trade off, and anyways, and having like Morven Vol, she can, a lot of the ways that I find to play her is keep her in reserves and kind of come out with the opponent.
Sure.
Now when you're going against like very 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 good opponents, they'll make sure that doesn't happen.
Yeah, they'll screen you.
Yeah, and they'll screen you. They'll screen you good. They'll control where she goes. So at that point, what makes this detachment so good is because when you're going against a good opponent like that, you don't put her in reserve. You just hide her, and then she's near a triumph. Her movement's 17 inches. You're going to find an angle.
And does the detachment doesn't have advance in charge, though?
No.
No?
No, but her shooting, or more, the Volagons are,
as well. Yeah,
the Volagons are great, right? So you have a 17-inch move. You don't really need to put it in reserve. You can kind of put it in a spot, and then you have your AOC to protect her. And if you choose the auras right with Triumph and you still keep her around her, then you get the double miracle. So you can do double miracle and the advanced charge, or the advance and extra movement and stuff.
Right. Yeah.
So you have all these tools to kind of protect that unit, which just perpetuates onto killing everything else, and it just compounds positively for you.
I like it. Yeah. That's definitely the start attachment. But there's 4 in the book.
Correct.
4 in the book. I've played against a lot of Sisters of Flame. I've played against is it Hallowed Martyrs? Is like the index one? Yeah,
it's the same as the index one. Very very good detachment. I even going into the codex, I don't think it was still very good.
Right, super good.
It's in index, sisters were still winning tournaments and everything.
Sure.
I find this detachment unique. What the rule is if you're below starting strength, you get +1 to hit.
Right.
If you're below half starting strength, you get +1 to wound. Now their strats though
I
are
was gonna
incredible.
say, this is the one where the strats kind of make it.
They're incredible.
Make it really pop, right?
Yeah, yeah.
The one that, just speaking from my own experience, that I encountered and did my best to play around, but the player I was playing against played it that I really kind of couldn't play around it, was the, and you could probably speak more to it, but the strat where if you are in engagement range with 2 different units, they can basically choose that all of your attacks be allocated to one of them.
The ones that are in engagement range of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes,
Suffering Sacrifice. Yeah.
That's what it is.
So that one's an amazing strat. Again, the greatest thing about this attachment in itself is that there is good strats for range armies and good strats for combat armies.
Right.
And you can kind of play both. Or like the mid-range armies, then you're just going back and forth, right? It is very CP dependent though.
Sure.
So you do. I like to play a Judith. She got less good, so that's another loser.
Is she the CP generation?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but you have to pass the leadership now, or discard a miracle to get it.
Right. So
Yeah.
you could swap out one or something, I guess.
She's less good than she used to be. Before she would just give it to you.
Yeah, which is nice.
Yeah. Well, it's fine, but like you still need that, I think, and because you still want to score points, you don't really want to be discarding your Tentaclar if you don't need to, like
right.
Just because of CP.
Sure. Of course.
There's a few other notable stratagems in that one though. There is Divine Intervention, which is a revival of the hero. So you shoot down my Triumph, you use all that stuff on the Triumph. Okay, well she's gonna come back with 3 wounds plus D3 or whatever.
Discard dice to give more wounds on the rebound.
Yeah,
is that how it works?
you discard say 3 dice. She comes back with 3 wounds plus 1, so 4.
So good.
Yeah. And then there is Fight on Death, which is a good notable one as well.
Course, yeah.
I find that very good. If you have Repentia, again, Repentia are one of those losers I find as well.
Okay.
They are ultimately better on their data sheet, but they're 180 points.
For 10?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For 10. Well, you actually get 9 in the superior,
Okay.
but you have sustain 1 and full hit rolls and full wound rolls. So there's a few like Arcos. I think Arcos are still great. They did lose out in some rules as well, but ultimately they're still a fun unit.
Sure.
They're tough enough, and you can kind of put them in front of somebody and bug up the board, and then
they went from was it a 4-up Philippine to a 5?
5-up field. Yeah, they
that's
went from 4 to 5.
difference.
They got an invul from it, and they lost twin linked.
Yeah, so their hitting powers reduced significantly.
Yeah. One of the things I find so creative is Arco Flagellant's base size is less than an inch. So if you can charge a unit, say you're charging Bully Boys or you're charging a Custodian Guard unit, okay, and you have the Volagons behind it, and they're in charge range as well. Well, you can charge with the Arcos, surround them, okay, if you get a big enough charge, but you can do that with Miracle Dice.
Right.
Leave a little bit of a gap between just one model and then the opponent's models, just base-to-base contact. Then all you have to do is to make that charge is to get base contact with your Arco, because you'll be within an inch.
Right. Yep.
And then now with everything surrounding it, then you use a Suffering Sacrifice. Everyone has to hit them, and the Volagons get a hit back.
Oh, it's so good. So the situation that I had play out was I was playing my Knights, and the sister's player had, I'm trying to remember the exact circumstance, but I finally had a chance to charge with, I think it was with Canis Rex, into the Volgons. But he had the Triumph, St. Catherine, right nearby, in a place where just the way it was situated, I couldn't charge one without charging the other. So when I charged in, and I did know this stratagem existed, but I wasn't finally dialed in on like how it worked exactly. So I was like, how bad can it be?
Yeah, like I'm gonna win this.
No
I have
problem.
Canis Rex.
Canis Rex could punch through anybody, which is true, except that I charged I had to multi-charge. Use suffering for sacrifice, suffering
and sacrifice.
And sacrifice.
Yeah.
And then they're like, yep, all of your attacks have to go into the Triumph. And the Triumph just bosses a couple of saves and doesn't die, right? Like,
yeah. It just bees 18 wounds.
Not only did I not get to attack the thing I wanted to attack, I also did nothing. Effectively did nothing.
And another reason why I think Sisters can be so strong now too is there's a huge buff in the core stratagems. Heroic Intervene.
Heroic Intervention for one. Yeah, I think that's like... I think top players have been talking about it a lot, but it's a huge change.
dude, it's the new grenade strat.
It's
better than the grenade strat.
That's a good way of putting it. Yeah.
Like you can really you can control what's happening around you, and you now having plays on your opponent's turn is always very powerful. Look at how powerful Overwatch can be.
Yeah.
Right.
So any out of phase anything really is quite strong. Yeah.
So Heroic Intervene at 2 CP was always like ugh. Like that's why counter offense was always good. I mean, could you imagine counter offense was one? Oh my gosh.
Well, that's what I was going to say, because all of a sudden the counter charge and then interrupt being now 3 CP, that's a big deal. Mm-hmm. Even that bump from just 4 CP, that's still a very big deal. Yeah. Right. Going into with no CP generation, being able to do that on like turn 2, that's a big deal.
But now with the counters is giving the free or the 0 CP strat or -1.
Of course.
Now you can do Heroic Intervene, or you can just Heroic Intervene for 1 and interrupt for 1 or for 0. So you just it's
a big deal.
Or sorry, no, it'd be 2 CP total.
Right, because you get the 1.
Yeah, you get the 1 it's 2 CP total, but like still like
but all of a sudden you're going from a thing that costed 4 not that long ago to costing 2.
Yeah, exactly.
It's crazy.
It makes it well, it allows you to control the board state a little bit more, and I think that's what you need as a Sisters player, is like being able to control what's happening around you and making the trades effectively happen.
Effectively happen on your opponent's turn sometimes. Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah. So that and the one thing they lost in the index compared to now was they had +1 a wound. In
who did?
Halo Martyrs did.
Oh,
in the index. It's gone now. Gotcha. Yeah, it did have that. It's gone now. Yeah.
But they have it built in the detachment rule, though. Wasn't it?
Well, if you're below starting, but I mean you don't have as many units.
Right. I was going to say, actually, that's something that I was thinking of when you mentioned the detachment rule itself. Obviously, you're getting the +1 to hit a lot. Because you take a casualty here,
or like a Paragon Warsuit dead here.
I feel like depending on how you're playing, I suppose the +1 to wound doesn't come up a lot, or does it? Like in practice, does it?
It comes up in those bigger squads. Like if you're running the 10 Arcos, like okay, I have 4 left. I'm there now. I have +1 to hit and wound. Okay. Right. So
sometimes helpful.
It does. Yeah. It's just now they've kind of put into other they put into other detachments and. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but in different ways.
I think the most recent Blood Angels, I think the not Death Watch, not Death Guard, the Death Company.
Yeah, Lord Brother in detachment.
I think they have a lot of rules built around the unit itself being below half strength, which is generally not very strong. But if you have a host of stratagems to back you up, then I guess you can do a lot of work.
Well, could you where I think the detachment rule itself really shines is the tanks.
Well, that's a good point. It's actually a very good point.
If you can. If you take it, I want to chip damage your Castigator. Well, that's fucking stupid.
Yeah, don't do that.
Just don't do that.
Well, but that's actually a very good point. I hadn't even considered. Yeah, your Castigators, your Immolators. Oh, I was going to mention at the top, as far as winners and losers, I'm just thinking of tanks now, is I haven't seen a lot of Exorcists.
You will.
Yeah, okay, thanks. Is this a hot take alert, or is this a pretty mild take? Because we haven't seen from Index to Codex, I feel like they dropped off a little bit.
They did, yeah. They're 190
Maybe
points.
We'll take a quick detour this way. Why do you think, and why would they come back?
I don't think you're going to see them ever in like Bringers of Flames. I mean, you might see the odd one. They're really good in the other detachments. They really shine. Particularly, I find they shine in Army of Faith,
which we'll get to.
Yeah, we will. But they're still a very, very good unit. They technically got a buff / de. They got a debuff because of the indirect. Okay, the indirect rule hitting on 4s because it used to be a heavy weapon. And indirect. So then if it didn't move, the indirect thing didn't matter, and it was AP -2. They got the buff now. They have AP -3, and they don't keep the heavy or anything like that, but it's just indirect. Now it's still D6 fucking damage. Like it's still a lot.
Strength 10, AP 3, D6 damage.
Yeah.
Like how many shots is it?
D6 +2.
Fantastic profile. Not blast. Weirdly enough.
Not blast.
Yeah.
It used to be. No,
did you?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I can't remember.
Someone saying it's not blast. I'm like, that sounds like a blast weapon, but
yeah. I think the other one is.
Okay.
And the other one ignores cover, and the other one, but after that, you also force a battle shock if it matters. But I find them quite like you're gonna see them more often, especially if a data slate change happens. I'm not saying hey G-Dub whatever. Like I think they're the kind of counter because you can be really aggressive with them. And if you are aggressive with them,
don't bother with indirect.
Just don't bother. Like just show up.
Yeah. Just be a normal tank.
Just show up. Be a normal tank
Yeah.
with the castigated. But like you're still doing D6 damage. And if you have, again, Army of Faith, which the detachment rule is double miracle, you're gonna be doing damage when you want. Like I had a game recently, and I have an Exorcist tank in the Army of Faith, and I needed to kill one of their tanks, and I just like, 2 went through. What's your health?
12 damage. Yeah. What is your health? Here you go. Okay, so let's. I appreciate the insight because it was a thing. Like I said, I saw a lot of, and you're right. The indirect change, that makes sense.
And it's -3 now too. So if you're showing it, you just have to, if you're in line of sight of something, then it's -3, and then you shot with an emulator. You're ignoring cover.
Yeah.
Right. So you're doing these little combos, and you can. I find them still very, very good. I think 190 might be a bit of a steep price because of the indirect rules.
Sure.
And now that they've nerfed indirect so hardcore, I don't think it needs to be 190. But you know what? I think 170 is probably maybe 175.
We're close, right? We're not way out to left field.
But I don't see them. They're not out of the meta, man. They're one of my top units.
I like it. Well, that's a good transition to the other. What's the detachment you mentioned that they're particularly good in?
Army of Faith. So Army of Faith, very unique because it kind of takes one of Triumph's rules and applies it to the whole detachment. Right. You can now, so Miracle Dice or Acts of Faith are considered one unit can perform an act of faith per phase.
It is per phase. Hey,
yeah, one unit per phase. One Acts of Faith per unit per phase.
Got it.
Now with, again, if you're in the Triumph 4 and you selected that one, then it's 2 Acts of Faith per unit per phase. This detachment rule just allows you to do it for all of them.
Hey, everybody.
Yeah. They have some unique stuff too. I don't know if it's the correct way to build around it, but it's fun. So all their stratagems are how do I describe this? All their stratagems are powerful enough to affect a game state, but they're not overwhelming. So so some of them are like, okay, you can ignore modifiers, but you have to do this at your command phase. So you have to know what you're going to be shooting before you do anything.
It's a bit tough, yeah, sometimes. Yeah.
Now, the ignore modifier one, it's not everything. It's not like your OC or anything. It's just like your ballistic skill. You can't get around armor contempt. It's just your ballistic skill and -1 to wounds and stuff like that. Like that's the ignore mod one.
Okay. Ignore modifiers to hit.
To hit and wound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, to hit and wound. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Not to your particular OC.
Right. Or damage or whatever, right? Yeah.
No, I think it is to damage.
Okay.
Yeah. Again, you have to pull it up, but it's very unique. And again, it doesn't come up as often because you have to do it in your command phase.
Yeah.
Right? So that's the annoying part.
Yeah, that is rough.
Now, there's another one that has Radiant Strike, or not Radiant Strike because that's a Grey Knights one. It's Radiant Shine or something. Anyways, it gets -1 to hit.
Radiant Shine sounds like a Pokemon move. So that sounds about right, yeah.
Bam! It's -1 to hit. And then there is a Lance one too. Okay. So when you're doing that, and then it gives it an extra AP or something. I think it's just Lance. And then there, what else is it? What are other ones? Let's just pull it up.
Yeah, you can pull it up. I don't have the codex. So you have to pull it up.
I can pull it up because I pay for the codex, G-Dub.
Yeah, James. We always pay for our codexes. Even when they're Imperial agents. Sometimes, maybe.
It's hard to remember everything. All right, yeah. So there is a stratagem with 5 Feel No Pain. Okay.
Right. Okay. Is it like a good timing on that one at least, hopefully?
This one's in any phase. This one's any phase. Command phase for the Light of the Emperor, which gives the ignore modifier. So of weapon skill, ballistic skill, and any test to make for battle shock.
Oh, interesting. That's weird. That's very specific.
Yeah, very, very niche. There's the one that gives Lance.
Yeah.
Now, this is why I was thinking one extra AP, but it's not, because if you read that extra text, it just, if a model dies, so say I gave a unit Lance, and then I charged a unit, obviously charged.
Yep.
Then I killed a model, I gain a miracle.
Oh, cool. Sweet.
Blinding Radiance is -1. Blinding.
Less Pokemon sounding, but very well accepted.
So you subtract 1 to hit.
Yep.
And then Divine Guidance is this is the one. It just gives you an extra AP. You can do this in your shooting and fight phase.
Oh, just an extra AP, just straight up.
Yeah, straight up.
So it's not like crazy strats, but like pretty good.
Well, I'm not done yet.
Okay.
And then there is at the end of the opponent's fight phase, you can go uppy downy with your jump packs.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
a little bit of mobility, a little bit of damage buffs here and there.
Yeah, they just can't be in engagement range, and you go boop.
Yeah.
You can bring up one. Now, this is where it's unique, and I think it's cool, but I don't know if it's necessarily the right way to build around. Is when you target a jump pack unit with it. So any of the angels, so Zephyr, Seraphim, Celestine. If you target them, they give that stratagem at a 3-inch aura.
Ooh, interesting.
Right?
Yeah, 3-inch aura is very limiting, I guess, as far as distance.
But not if you just string them along as a 5.
Yeah, they're big. They're relatively large units, right? Like footprint wise.
They can be. They can be if you string them.
So if you target a unit with the strat, any other jump pack unit can also be picked up at the same time.
No, not that one. Any of the ones that are like extra AP.
Oh, not the AP Downy one.
Extra AP, 5 of Feel No Pain, -1 a hit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you can kind of give. So say like you were shooting my Exorcist tank. Well, I'm going to give Blinding Radiance to Celestine, who's 3 inches from her, and then she's also 3 inches near something else.
You get to double dip.
A little bit, yeah.
It is the double dip detachment. You get double miracle dice.
Yeah.
And you get. It's a double dip.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. The DD, double dip.
The double dip. That's really cool. So all the most of the strats have that just kind of written in, like if you target this within 3 inches.
Yeah, the 3 do. Yeah,
that's really cool. I had no idea. I haven't played against that attachment yet. That's really cool.
And then a lot of them will give you like the extra miracle dice if you accomplish something or whatever.
Gotcha.
So it's other ways to find it. So
that's neat. Why do you think? Because that sounds strong to me. Is it just the fact that, like, why do you think we haven't seen that much play in competitive play, or that much of that detachment in competitive play?
I don't know. I think it's hard to find. I think that's one of the detachments that you is a toolbox attachment. So you have to have kind of one of every unit, and then they have to synergize together to make it work. So that's just one of those unique detachments.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a fair assessment. It's not like very obvious how this should work every time, right? It's like Bringers of Flame is like you go very fast and you find angles very easily.
And board control and just do that.
Board control, move, block, all that stuff is very obvious. And I made this example before we started filming, but again, just speaking from personal experience with the Necron Codex, it feels as if with the Sisters Codex, we're kind of in the place where as soon as Necron book launched, Canoptech Court was super, super busted OP. And it was very, very obvious how you played that attachment. Also, when Wraiths were way less points and Technomancers were way less points, you got 3 bricks of Wraiths, you move up the board, you shot stuff with Doomsday, Doom Stalkers.
Yeah, and then mess around with Catans.
And then mess around with maybe a Catan or 2 when they were too cheap as well, right?
Sure. Yeah, 100%.
But it was very obvious that was strong. You just go and play that. Whereas Awakened Dynasty and Hypercrypt Legion were kind of like still good, but Canoptech Court was just so obviously easy and good that you just played that. I feel like we might see, because now that we've like you said, we've been playing the Codex, Sisters Codex for a few months now. We'll probably see something similar happen where Bringers of Flame, I don't know what the nerf would be. I don't know them well enough to know what the nerf could or would be. But I feel like we'll probably see they'll get hit somehow. And these other detachments that are like a little bit more toolboxy or like just below Bringers of Flame rise to prominence a bit more.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's when, especially a toolboxy one, because say you're going to nerf certain units, then other ones, get less points and they get a little bit of buff, and then they're all of a sudden in, right? So I don't see... Sisters will always find a way. I think they're one of those armies that can always kind of find...
Sisters find a way.
Sisters find a way. I think they're one of those armies that can really kind of, manipulate the game in a way where it's in their control, and they can always find a different way of trying to combat the meta, because I find every data sheet in this codex to be extremely powerful. The rules are just generally good, and having dice manipulation is kind of top notch.
Yeah, always strong.
We have one more detachment to go through,
which is called the Penitent Host.
That's right.
I know stuff.
Yeah, that's my favorite one.
This is for the girls who've been bad.
The girls have been bad,
and they have to go and die, or be super badass to be forgiven for their sins.
Yeah, Saint Celestine was a Repentia at one point.
Some deep lore.
She's there now.
I didn't know that Saint Celestine was a Repentia. Yeah, and then died and came back.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That
seems like a very Sisters thing to do. Is like dying, coming back. Like
came back a saint.
Right?
So
it was just a guess.
This faction is really cool. I wish they would have changed the rules a bit.
What's the detachment
So the
rule?
detachment rule, okay, so this is what I don't like. I like it, but I hate it. It's like doctrines, but doctrines you don't have to use.
Right.
These ones you have to. So it allows for, you just gotta like kind of go balls deep, turns 1, 2, 3, and if you don't, and try to win. If you don't, then you're just gonna be behind.
So sorry, what do you mean it's doctrines you have to use? Like you have to choose a buff every round kind of thing?
Yeah, like there's three buffs every round, and they're like doctrines,
right?
But you have to choose them. With doctrines, you don't necessarily have
you
to,
can
right?
just wait till the last and
You can choose them 3, 4, 5, right?
Whatever,
if you want to
right.
just keep staging and just being annoying, right?
Right.
This one you have to, which is unfortunate. So it just makes you have to go like, again, balls deep in something. Like you have to like, okay, go crazy. So the ones are 3-inch movement to all penitent models.
Right.
So that is
keyword penitent, right?
Yeah, keyword penitent. So you got your penitent engines, your mortifier. You got not mortifier. Penitent engines. Then you have the Arcos, and then the Repentia.
Right.
And then
is that it? It's just those 3?
Yeah.
Also somewhat limiting, just being those 3, right?
Obviously, right. Yeah, and there is there's Minister on Priests as well that can do it. Now Minister on Priests are cool because if you attach them to an Arco squad, their leadership ability is +1 to wound,
which is always handy. Yep.
I think that's the best.
Very strong.
I think that's honestly one of the best rules you can have. If you can give someone +1 to wound, like.
Speaking as again a knight player who's played into Votann a few times now. Obviously +1 to hit tied in with that as well, but just +1 to wound. All of a sudden, all of your little bolters that are supposed to be wounding on 6s, wounding on 5s, you're taking a lot more damage over 5 rounds of battle.
Yeah, Paragon War suits into Dread Knights. So they're strength 10, because you're within 12. Even if they're strength 9, let's go on strength 9. But they get +1 to hit and wound, so they're already 3s now to 2s.
Yeah, wounding, right. Not even it's on the other end of the scale. It's also good. Yeah, going from 6s to 5s is good. Going from 3s to 2s also very good.
Very good. Weird. just dumb rules.
Yeah.
So there's the 3-inch move. The 3-inch move.
Yeah.
On Penitent. The next one is +1 to attack on the charge.
Okay.
And
again, these are always just for the penitent.
Yeah, this
keyword?
is all penitent keywords. So I'll just pull it up again because I haven't played them in a little bit, but they are my favorite. I played them a few times.
Saying, this is kind of like the brand of sisters that you like.
Yeah, it's attack and strength. That's what it is. So it's attack and strength on one, and then the next
you get to Wa. It's the sisters Wa.
It's a sister Wa. They can advance. Well, there's a stratagem that makes them advance in charge. So you can Wa.
There you go.
You can
Sisters Wa. Got
Sister Wa. And then the next one is Fight on Death 2-up.
Ooh, 2-up's juicy.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
2-up is pretty juicy. Okay, right. So you're saying the maybe weak point of this detachment is that you're limited. You have to choose each one for the first 3 rounds of the game.
Yeah.
Right.
So and you can't use them again. So
you can use them again.
You can't.
You cannot. Right. Once they're done, they're done. They're like doctrines, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So like so turn 1, I guess I'll choose the movement and just stage better. Turn 2, I'll come at you. Now you can do. I think you can punish really bad players. Like you can. All right. So say your Repentia are set up near, just a Triumph. Okay, they move 7 inches. They come out of a rhino. They move an extra 3, so 10, so 12.
Sure.
+3 movement, so now you're at 15. You give them advanced charge. You give them a 6 on the advance. So actually 7. So now you're at 21. Then
they're fast.
and then you charge, and then after that you charge.
Charging, yeah.
So
you're charging someone.
I think on average you're at 28 inch threat range with them.
Yeah.
And they kill. Dude, they kill anything, man.
Yeah.
They're crazy good. Like you can do. So it's 2 attacks. So there's 9 of them, so 18 attacks.
This is on Repentia?
Yeah, Repentia. Yeah. They have sustained 1, so you're hitting your 18 attacks, full hit rerolls, hitting on 4s though.
Yeah, you're just fishing. Go for it.
Yeah, and then you have full wound rerolls as well.
This all sounds very good, Cass. Why don't we see this very often?
Well, they're 180 points. So they die to a swift breeze.
180 points, right. For like 1 wound models, 5
they're
up armor.
They have 1 wound models, 6 up invol, 5 up feel no pain. They die. Toughness 3.
That feel no pain's got to do a lot of work for that to survive, right?
Yeah, it happens though. It happens.
Sure, yeah. You get a good roll and it'll happen, but
180 points for that kind of trade is not very good.
Right.
Penanos. Yeah, I really like. I just like the lore behind them, and I think having that aggressive stature of of an army is pretty cool, and I think there is a build out there. I actually have a list of one.
Yeah, you think
this guy ended up going 5-0 in a tournament
with the Penitent Host.
With Penitent Host,
okay.
Hey, if anyone wants to try this out, this is kind of the bones of the army. Not my list. I haven't tried it out yet. It is a Dialogus with the enhancement of a Psalm of Judgment. So basically, it is while this bear is on the battlefield, each time an enemy unit destroyed by a penitent unit, you can discard 1 miracle dice and gain a 6.
That's dope. Super dope. Which is a thing that's going to be happening in this game no matter what.
Yeah, and you might as well. But it's on the when they kill.
So do you have to have it's no gain one, it's just a swap out, which is maybe a little bit awkward, like super early game, but you're gonna have by mid game you're gonna have miracle dice like that are 2s and 1s and 3s and crap you want to get rid of, right? So
yeah, like so when you kill it, like okay, I have this 2, now it's a 6, right? Like you just
right, and the timing of that is nice because you get that immediately. So say you kill something in your first activation, well now I have a 6 for my next activation. Exactly, and that's when you want to sequence it. Or now you're going to activate and try to kill me. Well, now I have a 6, right? That's right.
Then there is 2 Ministerial Priests. And Ministerial Priests, like we said before, when they're attached to a unit, they get +1 wound.
Right. Great.
So they're going to be attached to Arcos. Arcos. So there's not many things that can be attached to a unit because not all things have a penitent keyword.
Right.
The priests do, and there is one enhancement that gives it to a unit, so you can give it to like a Canis or a Penitent or a Palatine. Okay. This one has refrain from enduring faith, which gives the whole unit a 5 up invul. So now your Arcos now have a 5 up invul,
whereas they normally have a 6.
6, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They go up to a 5 up invul.
Yep.
There is one strat in Penitent Host that gives up 4 up Feel No Pain though.
Okay.
So there's a strat for that. So like again, these are all now compounding things, right? So then you have another priest, and it has the enhancement of Verse of Whole Piety. So that is the one where you can use double vows to the unit.
Okay. To just that unit.
Yeah. So you can do the movement 3. So okay, you did your staging turn 1 to move 3, and then the next one with this Arcos, you're going to give it movement 3 and the extra attack and strength.
Right.
Or you're going to give it the fight on death and the extra attack and strength.
Cool.
Right. You can do both. Then you have Triumph. Not weird.
Right, always good.
Not weird.
It's not weird, guys. Always good.
Then we got 2 Immolators. So this is all standard loadout with multi-meltas, heavy bolters. Yep. Then you have a Rhino. Okay, and what you want the Rhino for is probably the Repentia. Sure. So you have 2 10s of Arcos, and you have a 3 of Arco, because it's either 3 or 10 with Arco Flagellants.
3 or 10?
3 or 10.
That's very random.
45 points to 150.
So weird.
Your discount's at 10. But the 3, so this is going to be an action monkey kind of coming in, but still benefits from the overall vow rules, or your doctrines.
Yeah. Makes sense.
2 Castigator tanks.
Always good.
Right? Running battle cannons.
Of course.
2 Dominion units. So you're still playing like Bringers of Flame. You're playing normal sisters.
You got your Meltas in there, yeah.
But you're adding in this penitent element to it, or the dynamic of being really aggressive. Then you have 2 Penitent Engines, which are really cool. They can advance and charge.
Penitent Engines are good in any detachment, but they get all these buffs from here too, right?
So 2 Penitent Engines. They are great. They advance and charge. They have all the benefits from the rest of the detachment.
Yep.
And they're really good. Like they have a strength 10, AP -2, 3 damage weapon. Like it's...
Yeah, they hit. They're
Twin
vehicles, so a little bit limited on movement sometimes, but yeah, I think lots of sisters lists in any detachment run them.
Limited on movement, you got Triumph, baby. You don't give a fuck.
That's right.
And you got 6 in charge, and you can advance and charge. These guys move so fast. I'd actually be playing them in a lot of my other armies if I had the points for it. But at 75, they're just like this weird. They're 5 points off from being like the one I want to run.
Fitting in well.
Like I put Mortifiers in instead, which have a fight on death.
Okay.
But if I had the extra points, I'd be playing Penitents. They move so much faster.
But then in this detachment, that's no brainer, obviously.
No brainer. Well, Mortifiers don't have the Penitent. And then it's actually only 1 unit of Repentia, and I really like this for this particular army because at first I think people were going to go 3, and then they went down to 2, and I think 2 is where most people land on. I like going 1 because it is 180 points, and it will die. So you may want to make sure it's trading right.
Right.
If you're not killing 2 units, you're killing 1 big thing.
Right. Yeah, sure.
And you can launch it out of 1 Rhino and just like, okay, I'm going after you. And then it rounds at the list with our girl, Calidus Assassin.
Who doesn't love a Calidus Assassin?
So what's her new rules now? Like what's
she was, first of all, the big thing with, what was it called, Agents of the Imperium Codex, was that she didn't go up in points, which is, I think, is insane. Like, she's 100 points, and she's been 100 points for a while.
That's fine.
She used to be like 80, like
okay.
a few changes ago, which is wild. But I thought for sure we'd see an increase of her allied points, because they did the thing where if you're Codex Agents of Imperium, you have a certain point value. If you're an ally, you have a certain point value. I thought she'd go up. She stayed at 100. The only change to her rules, she got a buff. She has a rule now where at the end of the fight phase, she can do like a free fallback for d6 inches. And then, if the same rule is that if she, so it's I guess it's maybe a slight nerf, because
what if you roll a 1?
You could roll 1, right? You can't get out. So I guess it's a change. Maybe it's a slight nerf. I don't think it is, because her uppy downy doesn't work if there's an enemy unit within, I think, 3 inches or something like that.
Oh.
So like there's some play around it now, but if she's within 3 inches of an enemy, you probably fucked up at some point. Like, she's probably dead already.
or like, flame fight first is still pretty good. Like,
she's still got fight first. She's still got
flamers.
She still has her flamer that is anti-infantry 2+. Like,
yeah.
she's stupid good.
I want to actually put it in more of my sister's list.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting inclusion in a sister's list, because obviously as she's super good in knights, because knights don't have a lot of good secondary play, like not a lot of good mobility. Like, they're fast, but limited models, limited units and models. So her being able to be anywhere on the board is very helpful for secondary play. Sisters doesn't have that as much a problem. Same thing with like Grey Knights. Like, Grey Knights could take a Calidus, but they uppy downy all their stuff anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Sisters solve that problem by just having a lot of like cheap trash that can just be in corners and be in.
Well, and they're fast and they deep strike and
they're
stuff.
Fast,
but
exactly.
I don't like her. Like, okay, so don't take me like this. Like, I wouldn't put her in a Bringer Flame list. I would put her in a Halo Martyrs list.
Okay.
Right? Because I'm being difference? Well, the Halo Martyrs is the one with the minus. Like, you're running the Arcos. You're running like more stability units to try to control the center. You're not necessarily going super fast. Like, you're running less jump packs in a Halo Martyrs list. You're running more like the tanks, the Castigators, the Halo Martyr, or the Arcos, the Paragon War Suit. So you're not necessarily as fast, but you're more of that grindier detachment.
Sure.
Where in the Penitent Host, I like it here because you're throwing away all your units really fast. Like, they're going to be dying really quickly, so you still want the thing to kind of be make sure you're still scoring points.
That's a very good point. Yeah.
And then Army of Faith, if you do rely on more jump packs, I think that you don't really need her, but it really depends on which way you want to go with it, right? So, I actually want to start considering her more on my list, because I do think the fight first, the flamer's good, the uppy downy is really good for her, and it's just something that you don't have to like. I have to deep strike my Seraphim in the back lines. I know that's not a bad thing, but like, I actually need them out here.
Yes, for sure. It's one more piece that's super, super mobile, and we obviously can't forget she still has the +1 to stratagem aura. That's a big deal.
The Vect. The new Vect. So that's
the new Vect aura. Yeah.
So for everyone else, so that just changed recently.
Yes, that was the last data slate. For those who are not familiar, I guess there was many units in the game that have an ability that says it used to affect battle line, right? If your opponent uses once per game, if your opponent uses not a battle line, a battle tactic, sorry. If your opponent uses a battle tactic stratagem, you can increase the cost of it by 1 for the rest of the game. That got changed. Everybody who has that rule, it got changed to be a 12-inch aura of, if your opponent uses a stratagem within this 12-inch aura of this model, it costs 1 more, right? And when that first happened, a lot of people, I saw people saying that like the Calidus is useless, or like Calidus is bad. And the keen competitive players, I think, saw the value of that.
It's crazy.
That's a buff.
It's a buff in my mind.
For sure, a buff.
I don't like. What if I'm a dumbass and I choose the wrong one? This time I don't have to choose anymore.
Don't even worry about it. And it also avoids this awkward thing at the beginning of every game when you have a
What's
Calidus.
your best strategy?
Hey, so what's your battle tactic?
Yeah.
you have none? Okay, she doesn't do anything, right? That happens. Or the one battle tactic, you're like, I never use it. It sucks. It costs 2 CP already, right? I would never use it.
So good.
Now there's a lot more play. It's obviously harder to use, effectively, because you have to put her in the right spot to be able to take advantage of the strat uses. But super good buff. She's the fact that she is 100 points and the Vindicare assassin went to 150 is James lost his fucking mind.
We'll see. Though there's going to be a data slate update here this month.
Right.
We're all nervous and scared and also excited at the same time.
Are we due? It's due September, hey?
Yeah.
Late September or something like that?
Yeah, something like that. So we do have a September GT coming up, and I wonder if it's going to be before it or not. If not, hey, if I still play Sisters, I'll adapt, or I have Death Guard. Maybe they get a buff. I'm for... Yeah. You know what? Like, I'm not saying... like, because Death Guard is still actually doing decent in tournaments. They actually are showing up.
Yeah.
I find that they just lost some of their cool power with the indirect. The indirect really hurt them.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
That's true. Yeah, I agree.
Playboys Pros, I guess they're still playable. You have to make them show. Like, they're still a great unit. They're not as good as Lehman Russ, but they're as tough as one.
Yep, that's right.
And actually, I guess they're tougher because they're 5-up invul. But, that indirect is just so huge because you need that to kill that chaff, those scout units that are coming up. You just really need that to, like, kind of pave the way until you get there, because you don't want something to screen you out and you're not moving anyways.
Yeah. You're already slow, and a smart opponent will make you even slower.
Yeah, and you know what? And hey, a shout out to you know who I'm talking. Disgusting Resilient, and Aiden. You know who. Anyways, Aiden, I know. Like, play the War Dogs though, man. Like, just because the War Dogs are where you want to go with that. Like, you want that brigand, and you want to be able to kind of shoot out that chaff, and at least control the board state, and still be able to screen out the backfield with moving your guys forward. Having that extra OC, like the double rhinos with 10 guys, and out OCing opponents on midfields, and you know, like, Plague Marines shoot like crazy, and they also do decent in combat. I think they shoot better, to be honest with you.
No, they're good in both phases.
And the flooded boat drones are better now because they can do they're just better now because you need the movement.
Right.
In this particular format, you just need the ability to move and the ability to clean out chaff, and so you put them double flamers on them and just try to clean out chaff and try to make actions. They're less good than they were because the advanced action fallback, you can't do actions anymore, which they could before. Yeah. But I still think they're pinnacle in building a Death Guard list.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Before we get into hopes and dreams for Data Slate, any like closing comments on Codex Sisters, or did we kind of cover it? Like, is there anything you can think of that we didn't cover?
You know what? Amazing Codex. Yeah. Really, really deep.
Very strong.
I do find it balanced Codex. I understand that a lot of players are, could be chaffed about it, but it is a high skill level. It's not an easy army to learn. I really like the way they have balanced the Codex. Like, every Codex is good, or every data sheet is good in the Codex. When I remember when like Tau came out like 2 years ago or whatever, or what was it, like when there was a Tau winter and they came out and it was in 10th edition.
If you're talking,
what was it, 9th?
If you're talking about 9th edition,
oh my god, it was 9th.
You're talking to the wrong man.
It was a 9th.
I'm just a newbie.
Yeah, what was the other one? Oh yeah, Necrons in 10th were really big. I think Necrons were a little bit more impressive than Sisters, to be honest with you.
That's hard. I don't know. With the success that Sisters have seen recently, I don't know if that's true. I think it's taking a very similar trajectory that Necrons did, right? Like, Necrons were immediately very dominant, got a bunch of nerfs, and came back to that 50...
That neutral
55,
point.
That neutral point. I think Sisters are in that phase right now, almost on the same timeline, right? 2 to 3-ish months after the Codex, they'll probably see a hit and come back to some more parity type thing. So
yeah, okay. Yeah, what was another dominant one that was? Oh, Eldari. Eldari was oppressive.
Of course, Eldar in early 10th edition were insane.
That was too much. And I remember early 10th, like, Death Guard had nothing. They were garbage. They were to
get a whole extra rule to make them relevant, and
which it did, right?
Oh,
and I really liked that.
It wasn't a bad thing. It was a good thing. It was a good
change.
And
I don't think Sisters are like that. Like, between the disparity of that, they're not there. Like, they're not Eldari.
No, of course not.
And they're not the opposite of what Death Guard was.
No, as far as like the balance of the game is concerned, we're not anywhere near early 10th edition, right? Where Eldar won like forget about 4 out of 10, like winning like 8 out of 10.
If you weren't playing Eldar, you were wrong.
Yeah, right. I guess in a competitive atmosphere, when there's a faction that is so dominant, and you have them on the shelf, there's no reason not to play it. Right? It's like crazy. Yeah, we're in a very, just like a more analysis of like the meta in a general sense. We're in a pretty good spot. Like there obviously is armies that are struggling, right? Like GSC is not doing great. AdMech is doing better. They're in a way better place now. Since the past data slate, they basically just like redid all of their weapons and changed everything. So they're doing okay.
Knights are better too.
Knights are doing better. I'm trying to think of other, like, Custodies are kind of still in a tough spot competitively, but they did get a good buff. We've seen competitive play. We've seen Mark perform well with them.
Yeah, and also that Venatari combo is pretty good too. I find that like some of their biggest weaknesses is their movement, and having Venatari really, now they're only a 10-inch move, but they can
only 10 inches for Custodies is fucking flying.
Yeah, I know. Only 10 inches.
Only
said
10
no
inches.
one ever. Yeah.
Yeah,
but
sorry, Cass. Only 10 inches.
Yeah, jeez.
Jeez, packing the heat.
So, but the multiple rapid ingress is really cool. So they actually keep that board control and then allow their other pieces to kind of move up on the field. I think is kind of key for them.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of other factions that are in the low win rate. Like Drukari's kind of in a weird spot where I think if you go on like stat check and stuff, like the Sky Splinter Assault Force has like one of the highest win rates.
I think they're amazing.
But they're not lighting up podiums, right? They're not winning events and stuff. So
there's a way to beat them, and the people figured it out.
Yeah, it's not that it's solved, but it's like it's another very high skill floor faction to play, right?
100%.
Drukari, right?
Yeah.
Similar to Sisters, right? They're all very fragile. They hit like a truck. If you can make the combos go off, if you can get in the right spot, if you can take advantage of bad play, right? You're huge, right?
Well, and I think having a Sisters in the meta though. Really, really hurt it because you can't hide those raiders. So if you're going to stage up a raider behind... So you're going to stage up a raider with your... was it Archon and Incubi?
Yep.
Yeah. And that's the one with the enhancement that stops Overwatch.
That's right.
But if you're going to stage up, okay, I'm going to charge you next turn. Well, you stage up there. Well, I'm just going to assault...
I'm going to blow up your...
Yeah, I'm going to advance and shoot that thing off there.
Yeah.
So, and all the strategies are based on the transports,
That's
right?
Yeah.
So
get rid of the transports, all of a sudden that detachment...
Even Renegade Raiders can do that, right? Like they can... Oh, the Vindicator tank can just come out and just assault...
Renegade Raiders, so that's a big one I've seen a lot as well recently. Like, I've been seeing... we talked about it in the last episode, but I played against a lot of Chaos Cultists in the Chaos Cult CSM detachment, but even more recently I've been playing against Chaos Cultists in Renegade Raiders. Renegade Raiders is extremely strong, and I think one of the keys to that detachment success is the strat where you can like fall back after the fight phase.
Oh, and not be downy?
No, that was the Warp Talons that could do that.
Right.
There's just a strat that at the end of the fight phase, if you were eligible to fight or activated to fight, however the timing works, you can just move out of fight. So I charge you.
Yeah.
So the example I had was my Nightbringer got a good charge turn 1 or something against somebody because he moved up his cultist a bit too far. I charged with the Nightbringer. I precisioned out his character that gives him the 5 of invuln, the cult demagogue or something like that.
Dark Commune?
Yeah, whatever, the character, the special character.
Yeah.
Anyway, he fought back, and then in my turn gets to fall back out of the combat. Well, now they've piled in, they're across the board, and then on their turn, they can move into my board side and charge what's behind the Nightbringer.
That's really good.
It's extremely strong. It's movement shenanigans on the level of Eldar, right? Like, you have your Phantasm phase, but you just get a 6-inch fallback for free in your opponent's turn, potentially. It's very strong. So...
And they can't get... Wow, they can't get Overwatch.
No Overwatch. You're falling back in like the fight phase.
Oh my god,
it's very strong.
Yeah.
And in addition to all the good stuff of like +1 AP when you're fighting on objectives, and everything has assault, right? It's a very strong detachment. We've seen lots of Renegade Raiders recently. As far as like data slate, what would you like to see? You think?
For Sisters or Death?
For in general, just for anybody.
I think
nerfs, buffs, anything.
Yeah, okay, well, since this is a Sisters faction focus, and I think Sisters are going to see, and I don't want GW to get any ideas here, but
James, if you're listening,
I think it's a general consensus on what's going to get nerfed. I think Castigators are going to probably see a point increase. I think emulators might see one.
What are Castigators at right now?
150.
That is a very good price. That's a very good price.
So I think they'll probably see an increase. Sure. Probably not drastic, but something. Same with Immos. I imagine Dominions will too, because Dominions and Battle Sisters are kind of at the same marker right now at 115. Right. So I see Dominions maybe going up 5 points. Nothing crazy.
Yeah.
And hey, this is before Data Slate, guys. So if I'm right,
sniped it.
Sniped. I think Triumph is probably going to see something. Probably a bit of a point increase. Not too crazy, because it already is. I mean, it's not 190. It's
180. You said
90. 190. It's pretty drastic, but
that is a lot of points. Yeah.
But again, it is a very, very powerful tool. Mm-hmm. I'm kind of on the fence if Volagons are going to see it, because lists have seen success without her, and they are very good, but they're also not as strong as you think. Like their damage output is nuts.
You mean strong as in not as tough?
Yeah. Sorry, tough. That's what I mean by
I was going to say, whatever they hit, they kill.
They're strong. I mean, I think Tactical Tortoise did a damage analysis on it, and they hit. If they were shooting at something, it's an average of 32 damage. Yeah. So it's, but if they're not in the right hands, if they're being moved incorrectly, then it's going to be, then they're just whatever, they just die.
Yep, for sure.
I think you've had experiences with that as well. Yep. So I don't see a drastic increase in them. Maybe because they already saw an increase in points. I actually don't see them moving. I don't see them moving.
I would be surprised if we saw any changes to that unit.
Yeah, I don't think they will.
Super, mega, ultra strong. There's no doubt about that. Mm-hmm. But it has its limitations, right? Like how fast do they even move? Actually, is it?
They have a base of 8.
Base of 8, which is medium fast, right?
But
not
vehicle,
crazy,
right?
But vehicle, so
they're moving around
walls and stuff, right?
Yeah, I think you're right. They have a lot of limitations.
They're a pretty big footprint,
yeah.
Right? And they do have a 4-up invuln on all of them, but only 4 wounds each, 3 wounds each,
4.
Right. So
yeah.
So and I think we've all, if people who have fair amount of reps into the Volgon package, once the Paragons are dead,
Morven's does
not hit even a fraction of close to what she was before.
She's like 66% less.
Even if you can kill 2, right? If you can get 2 of them out before they make impact, it's a huge difference in the power level. So I'd be surprised if that package changes.
I don't think it will, and I really think that the focus is on to maybe again if we need to balance sisters or whatever it is. I think it's honestly the Immos, Castigators, and Dominions maybe. Again, Dominions probably 5 points. I think emulators maybe 10.
I don't know. It's such a tough,
and Castigators I think probably need to go to 175, maybe 170. I know, and I'm just speaking as an objective Warhammer player, and not like a sisters. Oh, you better not do this. If they go up, whatever. It is what it is. I tend to run 2 Castigators anyways. I don't run the 3. They go up. It's not really going to affect my list.
Do you know how much a Exorcist is?
190.
Right.
So they're going to go down.
That seems. You think that will go down in price?
Yeah, I think that will go down to 180.
Well,
are they? Fuck, man. No, they should be 190. I could be confused with. I could be confused with Plague Burst Crawlers.
Same thing, right?
Yeah, seriously.
Same shit, different.
No, I'm pretty sure they're 190.
But well, that makes perfect sense.
They're 190. Yeah, I'm right.
So the reason you don't see them is because Castigators are at 150.
Yeah,
that's wild. That's
and
40-point difference.
I think that they'll probably, just because how powerful the rules of sisters have. I don't think you want to put that down to 150 because I think that'd be unbalancing.
No, that's wild. Yeah.
I think that they should be at 180.
Well, you think Exorcists come down?
Yeah.
Other ones go up a little bit.
Yep. And again, Dominions probably go up. Celestine could probably go down because she's at 160. She used to be 120. Her rules didn't change all that much. And then with Death Guard, man, Blight Lords I think need some help. Blight Lord Terminators.
Blight Lord Terminators. Yeah, I don't see a lot of them. Very rare.
No, I think you could do a Blight Lord spam. Again, it's the same as when Fraser was on here and talking about the World Leader Terminators. They're just it's similar to that.
Yeah.
I think they could probably go down, and then Plague Burst Crawlers probably need to go down in price too. Probably maybe back down to that 175 mark where they used to be.
What are they at right now?
190.
That's very expensive. Yeah.
And then
it's
Flooded Broke Jones, they actually got a debuff. They're at 90 points. I think that's fine where they are. Cultists are fine. Blade Marines are fine. Death Shard are fine.
You're obviously talking a lot of points. Are we due for just points? Or are we due for
That's
rules?
what yeah, it's just points.
Just points, right?
Yeah, rules in January.
I lost the plot on when rules and points were happening.
Well, I don't know. We just got a big rule change in June, man. Pariah Nexus.
That's true. That was a big change. They did everything. They did points and rules.
They did
with
it all.
Pariah Nexus, right?
Yeah.
So
well, no, they will always do points and rules, but they'll do points mid season and then points rules.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Understood. Gotcha.
So January is going to be some changes, but
we'll get points here pretty.
I think I'm not too far off on what we're doing. So I don't see Sisters getting a fucking massive beat down, whatever, and then we'll just adjust.
Yep. Of course. Yeah,
so you? How about you? I talked a lot.
Oh, my predictions, my wishes or predictions or both?
Both. Just say what's on your mind, man.
That's tough.
We all want to hear what's on
points wise.
Big Ben's mind.
Big old Ben. Points. That's tough. Like for the factions I play regularly, Necrons and Imperial Knights. Imperial Knights are probably in an okay place points wise. Maybe could see decreases a little bit to the big guys, but we're in an okay spot. Like it's not bad. I think maybe some of their enhancements could come down a little bit because they are obviously affecting they're always affecting a Titanic.
Do you think Canis Rex is fine where he's at?
Ooh, don't even mention that. If Canis goes up, we're all going to cry a lot.
What if he goes down?
Canis will never go down. Canis will probably go up.
I'm actually considering him in Sisters list.
I think that's very normal. That's very smart.
I'm very considerate.
What is he at? 435, I think he is.
He's fine.
He will, if anything happens to Imperial Knights, unfortunately, he will probably go up. He is literally auto-include in every Knight's list.
And I need to make something clear to the viewers. It's not my idea for Canis Rex. I have heard about it, and I was like, oh my god.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Grey Knights players take him. I've seen AdMech lists with Canis in it. Like he's
a phenomenal.
He's incredible. You literally start any Imperial Knights list with, okay, I put Canis in, and then you build the list. So, I mean, it's not a wish list, but it's probably a prediction. He'll probably go up. He's at 435. I could see him. You'd take him at 450. No problem.
Okay.
Easily done. Then as far as I don't see Knights getting touched at all, points-wise, honestly, except for that, maybe. Necrons is a bit, obviously, there's a lot more moving parts there. I would love to see rules changes to some of the detachments that you literally never see. There's 5 detachments in Necrons, 3 get played, 2 never get played. The Obeisance Phalanx and the Destroyer Cult. Annihilation Legion. Thank you. Yeah. Would love to see some love to that because Scorpec Destroyers got a really good points decrease in the last changes.
Yeah, and they're seeing a lot of play, actually.
They're seeing tons of play in Awakened Dynasty and even in Hypercrypt sometimes.
They have infantry keyword, right?
They have infantry. They go through walls. They're really good.
That is good.
Like at 90 points for
8-inch
3.
move, infantry. Can they advance and charge in some?
No advance and charge, unfortunately, but they re-roll hits, full re-rolls on the charge.
Destroyers hate everything.
They have dev wounds once or twice per game, depending on the unit size. And you can put a Lord in there that gives them lethal. Like they hit.
Oh, because you get 2 plasmites in a bigger unit.
You get 1 plasma site per 3 Scorpex. To a max of 6 of the.
Yeah, gotcha.
Right? So, super good. Like great profile. Just you can't play it in the Destroyer detachment because the Destroyer detachment is garbage, right? So would love to see some changes of rules. We're not going to see that points wise. For this is going to be an unpopular opinion, but I think that the Catan probably got hit a little bit too hard, points wise.
What are they at now?
Like 3. I feel like an awful Necron player. I haven't played them that much.
There's a lot of rules.
There's a lot of rules.
Yeah.
Sorry, not quite 300. The Nightbringer is the highest costed at 295.
Good. I also have a whole Necron army. I love the Nightbringer, but
300 points is a lot.
In 9th he was 360
at
in
the
9th.
beginning. Well, even before the big points hike they took, he was 250.
It's freaking dumb.
And he was the best one by far. They look. I don't think they'll go down in points. I think no one wants the world where 4 Catan is the meta list. Obviously, no one wants that. I think we're seeing a lot of monoliths in competitive play, so it's probably at an okay spot at 3 something, whatever the monolith costs.
365, I think.
Maybe less than that, but
I like monolith play.
Here's what I would like to see. I would like to see, and we're just barely beginning to see more warriors in competitive play with Necrons, with monolith play as well.
Yeah, I miss Silvertide. I think Silvertide's a sweet ass army.
Silvertide hasn't been a thing for a long time.
Yeah.
It was kind of an index when reanimation was super strong. They got nerfed pretty hard with Codex. I'd love to see. Having said that, 20 Necron warriors is only 200 points. So at 10 points a model, it's a pretty good spot. If they went down to like 8 points a model, it might be too strong. Necrons are in a weird place. I don't think Necrons need point changes.
Points. I remember in 9th they were 13 points a model.
Oh,
that's crazy.
In the before times.
Before times.
I don't think Necrons...
That's when I played them the most.
That's when you play them. That's right. That's right. Now you got 2 other armies, so Necrons are old news.
I don't really play them much.
Very long story, rambling story short. I don't think Necrons need point changes at all. They're sitting right in the middle of the pack at like 50 to 52% win rate. They're not lighting up.
Maybe flayed ones go down?
Nah, they're okay. They went down last time. That's 60 points each for 5s. Like okay for a little infiltraty unit. Here's what you could do. Here's a unit that you don't see at all anymore between Index to Codex. Crypto Thralls. Remember those guys?
Yep.
Who were super OP, crazy strong in Index?
Yeah.
And got nerfed into the ground in Codex and are still like 60 points for 2 of them.
Oh, I thought they were 45 or something.
They should be about 45. That would make sense. At 40 to 45.
Yeah. Those are really good units.
20 points a model for like little 3-wound dudes who can like come back and stuff. Anyway, they don't need points changes. They need some rule changes to make detachments that suck better.
Right.
Let me go from there. The other thing I was going to say is it's still yet to be tested a little bit, but Imperial Knights Imperial Knights are probably the best beneficiary from the Agents of the Imperium changes. We can take Immolators now. There's
Sisters.
Some lists. Yeah, we can take
Sticky
Sisters of Battle.
Sisters too, because they have sticky.
That's the list I'm testing out online right now. Is kind of a shootier, less aggressive Knights list. No Lancer, but I put in an Immolator and a 10-man unit of Sisters of Battle. Obviously split the Meltas into the Immolator. They go forward and play the objective.
One Melta gun, one Melta, right? Like Melta gun, multi-Melta.
Yes. Yeah.
What did you put your... I guess Stockholm doesn't matter for you because you don't get Miracle Dice.
So they change it. In the Allied one, it gives them +1 leadership. The Simulacrum or whatever the fuck it's called.
Yeah.
Because you don't get Miracle Dice, they changed it that you get +1 leadership.
So you're there at 6 then.
Yeah.
Wow.
Not bad. That's good objective play. And then, like you said, you split the 5 and put one in the Immolator. That goes out and plays the game.
The best.
The 5 stays back and Sticky's your home objective, then screens it. Very good play. Now,
yeah, I really like that. I think that is something that Knights are missing because it's like you have these big walkers that are doing like, okay, let's think about this as a thematic battlefield. You have these big Knights walking around. How do you accomplish anything? Right, you need little idiots. They're doing. You need your henchmen. You need like those chaff units to do stuff. And
the
battle soldiers are awesome.
The soldiers running across the field as the stompy walkers come across.
That's right.
Yeah, that's visually is how it works. And functionally, if you're doing like a straight Knights list, right, you have to leave 140 point models sitting on your backfield to hold home objective in a lot of the missions, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't feel great. And sometimes they won't have any shots ever. That feels really bad. Now, whether the Immolator and Sisters play is better or the, what's the other one? The Subductor Squad is like a little like allied unit of cops with fucking handcuffs and stuff that have a bunch of 4-up invulns for like 85 points for 10 or 9 or 10 models, something like that. Also very good. There's going to be some play there, so we're still in testing mode as far as that.
I still like your Immolator play because you can still move block other opponents too, right? Like you can move block a Cursed Cultist.
And you get an Immolator with a multi-Melta that gives my units ignore cover.
Yeah.
So then you take your Helvrins, right, which have 8 shots at strength 9, AP 1, flat 3 damage.
Nice.
You can bump that up to strength 10, AP 2.
Why strength 10?
With a strat. So
AP 2 ignore cover.
With the Immolator ignore cover.
Oh, wow. Okay.
All of a sudden.
Oh, that's cool.
All of a sudden, this is the list I'm kind of like workshopping right now.
You know what? I think our next podcast is going to be Knight focused.
Ooh.
I think it's
time.
it. Hey, guys, what do you think? Yes? No? Maybe so? Yeah, look at me now, yeah. I'd be interested to see what Knights are.
Yeah, Knights are in a very different place. We did a Knights focus, I guess, on my first episode. The second episode of Bloodbath Tactics.
Yeah, back in January, February or something.
Forever ago.
Yeah.
It's a lot of things have changed since then, so maybe we'll
I think I actually edited that one during the LVO. Like I was in Saskatchewan. I wasn't at the LVO, but
Can't remember exactly
I
that sounds about right.
Yeah. So that's where it was. Anyways, I think we got quite a bit of content. We're almost at 2 hours. Holy shit! We like to talk
we just
to each other.
talk and talk. When it's just the two of us, it's just easy.
The core of the show, right? And
who needs these stinky guests? We keep
yeah.
bringing in here?
Hey, I appreciate the guests that come on, man. They're
I'm
awesome.
Just talking shit.
Yeah.
Talking shit.
Well, hey, let's wrap it up. So, hey, if you guys like it, you like more content, please like, subscribe. Remember, we are doing that giveaway for Fenris Workshop, celebrating our 500 subs. We're not quite there, but we know we can be, in the next couple weeks. And thank you to Fenris Workshop for supporting us. You guys have been awesome to us. You give us all this bunch of swag. They're super awesome to play with. Oh, I love swag. Yeah, I'm wearing it right now. So this is one of the t-shirts.
Yeah, that's right.
Let's get tactical.
With the kind of Viking looking guy on it. For everybody who's watching us, visit shop.fenrisworkshop.com to check them out. Support them.
We'll leave the link in the description
and
too.
Of course.
Yeah, of course.
Put a link in the description. But thank you for listening to us ramble for a while.
Yeah, and I hope you guys learned something from it. If you have any questions, please leave it in the comments. I'm more than happy to answer. I am still on my journey of faith right now, as so to speak, but I'm really enjoying playing them. I know they are at the top of the meta, but man, they are fun to play, and they make players better.
One day, even maybe Cass will be Repentia with the cool outfit and everything. His chest aflame.
I've already passed that.
Oh, you've already repented?
I repented by playing Death Guard.
Oh, that's right. You were a filthy chaos scum. Yeah. And this is your repentance.
I found my faith.
Back to the Emperor.
Yeah, I found the faith.
We've already completed the arc. We're done now. But thank you again to Fenris Workshop. Thank you, Cass, for being our expert on the panel this time around.
Yeah, I'm in the hot seat this time. It's fun.
And as always, folks, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and smash that notification bell so you never miss an episode of Bloodbath Tactics.
Thanks again, guys.
Love you guys.
Bye.